Welcome back to the By Design Podcast. I'm your host, Ronnie Knuckles. I'm joined today again by some co-hosts. I got Dakota, Woo, and Tim with me today. We wanted to come on and spend some time kind of telling the story of Spear Crest Digital, where we came from, why we even exist. Many of you that watch know me through Spear Crest Digital, through Sergeant Junket. And so I just kind of wanted to tell that story. I've told it on other podcasts, but I wanted to tell it on my own, maybe in some more detail and with some other input to kind of peel that onion back. So my journey really started when I got out of the military. I got into industrial maintenance, and I kind of worked my way up the corporate ladder and got into a position of leadership and decided that I wanted to do something on my own. Of course, there's money in the private sector, but I wanted to build something. I had this passion and desire to do that, and I wasn't very smart and didn't have a college degree yet. I was working toward it still, and I saw an opportunity to jump into junk removal. It was a low barrier to entry. I needed a truck and a trailer, and I knew I could hop into it and start making money relatively quickly. That was a difficult journey in the beginning. It wasn't as easy as you might think it would seem. The people on YouTube at the time had me convinced that I could make $2,000 a day.
If only
in the first 6 months.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen that way. But through Sergeant Junket, I was able to segue into Spear Crest over time. Today, Tim runs Sergeant Junket. As you can see, he's got the Sergeant Junket logo on. Tim he was the operations manager for Sergeant Junket for a while as we were getting Spear Crest launched. And so today, that's what he does full time. He's answering the phones, scheduling the jobs, working with the guys. We do have another guy in the building now, Austin. He's one of the Sergeant Junket guys. We actually work out of the same building as Sergeant Junket. Sergeant Junket uses the lot in the shop, and we've got some offices here and built some offices for Dakota and Ryan. So, but yeah, I mean, over the last probably 2 to 3 years, Spear Crest has really started to become known, and we still have a long way to go. But especially in the junk removal and dumpster rental industry, I think, especially this last year, we've kind of solidified ourselves as one of the maybe top 5 marketing agencies for that niche, specifically dumpster rental. Junk removals have got a lot more, there's a lot more fragmentation there. Mm-hmm. I think we're known in the junk removal industry just because I was part of the junk removal industry. So I do think we have some footing there, but we've really seen our dumpster rental side boom over the last 12 months. Mm-hmm. And, I'm grateful that God put it on my heart to start a junk removal business because I think that ultimately his goal is for us to wind up here at this table. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn some hard lessons and go through some hard times for that to happen. So anyway, I kind of just wanted to peel that onion back. So Sergeant Junket starts in 2018. I'm working with a marketing company at the time. I hired them very quickly. I started running Google ads myself right out of the gate. That was,
how did that go?
Very bad. So I started it in November, which is not a great time to start a junk removal business, November 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we go right into winter.
Maybe the worst time.
And we're dead slow, right?
It's 100% the worst time to start it.
Yeah, like now that we've grown, November is typically not one of the worst months. That usually starts in January, but when you're just getting started.
Yeah.
I mean, dude.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's seasonal. It's a seasonal business.
In the Midwest, I've seen all my clients there in the Midwest, when it gets December, nobody wants to be outside. It's 5 degrees outside. It's just not how it works.
Kentucky's Appalachia, kind of Midwestern. We're like the northern part of the South, so we get all the worst.
Super seasonal.
Yeah, super seasonal. All 4 seasons, we get them heavily here. Mm-hmm. And so in November, when you start a business, you're already not getting leads, so you're already kind of at a disadvantage. Google ads was kind of the thing. At least that's what a lot of YouTube people were talking about back then, and so that's what I dove into. And I think the second or third month in business, I had spent like $30,000 in Google ads, and I made $30,000. But I spent $30,000. So I lost money, because then that's not counting insurance. That's not counting paying my helpers, my fuel, my dump fees, right? So I was losing money right out of the gate, and I just kept doubling down on that for some reason.
You're making that $2,000 a day.
Yeah, I was making
$30,000 ad spend's pretty crazy, though.
I was doing it myself, so that was kind of getting to my point. I knew that wasn't going to work, and I needed to hire an agency.
Right.
At this point, I was already in debt from running Google ads. Like, I was taking out debt very early on to keep this thing alive for some reason.
It's hard to sustain when that's happening.
I was hell bent on creating something, and even if that meant I had to take myself into debt to do it. So Hired a marketing agency, super good dudes, by the way. I'm sure one of them may eventually listen to some of our episodes. So just in case, I really did appreciate them. They were an early on marketing agency. I know what that's like too now. And so they had good intentions. I stuck with them for 2 years. So I was pretty patient with them. I was paying a pretty significant amount of money. And it had gotten to a point where I had to make a decision. COVID hit, and I was already like $40,000 in debt, and business was already slow coming out of winter. COVID was like March. March is still kind of a mid-level month in junk removal, at least in this area. And so I went ahead and got rid of them. I couldn't afford to pay them anymore, and that was a hard decision because I really liked them personally. And I'd kind of gotten lucky. My dad ended up getting into a position where he could take over the phones, schedule the jobs. I was working full time at I don't want to name them, but a big distribution company. And I was able to plug him into the business, and it freed me up to do something else. And so I'm like, well, I need to figure out how to market this properly. And so I'm going to take some time to figure this out. I ended up coming across a course called BAM, Badass Marketers. And at the time, I'll never forget, it was an ad, and it said, real estate is dead. And I had been considering investing in real estate at the time, and I thought, well, I need to check this ad out. But it wasn't saying that real estate was dead. It was just saying that digital real estate was kind of the way in the future, to create an asset online that produces money. And that interested me, and I thought, well, if I can do that with my own business, if I can turn my business online into an asset that generates money, that's kind of what I'm after. So I paid for this course. It was a pretty hefty investment. And then I started to do all of these things inside of Sergeant Junket, built a new website, started to learn SEO, started to learn Google Business Profile Management. And so my intent was really just to do that for us. I thought if I can spend this money, I'll make the return once I figure it out. Well, then through that, it's the course teaches you how to set up an agency, essentially, from top to bottom, how to structure it, how to start getting leads. That really wasn't what I was after. But I'm kind of posting about my journey in the junk removal groups, which today is like one of our biggest lead sources, just to be completely honest about it. That's where most people find us, is junk removal groups. And that's kind of even part of our strategy as we move into 2025 into different niches. But anyway, some people started asking me if I could help them, and then I started offering free website audits. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you, and then I'll start doing some free website audits. So I started offering free website audits, which, by the way, we still do those to anyone for free. There's like no string attached. We'll do a free website audit for you. But out of that, I got 2 clients. My first client was in Orlando, Florida, and I charged him like $500 a month. SEO ranges a ton. At the time, I thought $500 a month was awesome. I'm like, oh, that's a car payment. Didn't get any results for that guy. He didn't last very long because we were still learning. I knew what to do, but application, knowing it, having the knowledge and then applying it are kind of 2 different things in this space. And then actually both of my first clients were in Tampa, in Florida, one in Tampa, one in Orlando. And the guy in Tampa, we did get some results for, and started to build a reputation of taking care of people. So even if they didn't get the results they wanted, and that was partly our fault because I didn't know how to communicate that. Like, I'm like, yeah, we'll get you results in the first couple months, just because I didn't know how to communicate it. But we took care of them and created relationships with them. And so they were like, hey, I can't afford this right now. I like you, though. And then that kind of just snowballed into building trust. And then, today we've got 50 to 60. I don't even know exactly where we're at. I should know that number offhand. 50 to 60 clients. We've onboarded some this week, so the numbers are a little bit off around the country. And, you go from, we hovered between 5 and 10 for a long time. And, I had gotten into a position I don't want to dive into this publicly, but as a COO for a veteran nonprofit. And there was a lot of drama surrounding that. I'm not going to talk about that on this video. In fact, I probably will never talk about it, and there's just no need to. But I ended up resigning from that position, and I was having some severe anxiety, real bad anxiety attacks. Tim was around when all that was going on. Yeah. And so I had been praying, like, God, open a door for me. I don't know what to do right now. He really allowed me to be broken down in that instance, to be able to be like, okay, you're going to have to trust me, or you're going to have to go back to work full time, which I didn't want to do. And then I'm still the COO at this point. I have this kind of epiphany, like, well, you could just resign. And right when I had that thought, like every ounce of anxiety just immediately went away. And I'm like, okay, this is what you want from me.
Isn't that such a weird concept though? Because you're not really quitters. Like you don't want to quit something that you start. But it's weird how you just thought, okay, I'm done. And you could just feel
the weight on your shoulders immediately.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm a driven guy. I think that I didn't want to quit that because we had built some really cool things, and I was really good friends with the CEO, and we had built a program where we were teaching people how to become resilient veterans who had gotten out and lost their edge.
Right.
So we had built some cool things, and so I was fighting to hold on to those things when really that wasn't God's will for my life.
Right.
And so I was essentially fighting against what He had for me, unintentionally. It's just I knew what I wanted. And He was trying to tell me that this wasn't the way. And so just by having that thought, like I can just step away from this. And then all the anxiety went away. That was like an instant answer. Because I had been asking God, like through prayer every day, like, do something, show me something. And all it took was one little thought. But then I had to figure out, okay, what's that look like? I only have like 8 clients at Spear Crest. And, I'm making 6 figures. I have a high title. That's, a lot of my ego was attached to that, but also, I've got a family and 3 kids, and I need to figure out how to provide for them. And so I thought to myself, if I could either get 10 clients or get one really big client in the next 30 days, I can step away from this for real. And then Corey had reached out from SIG, which we had Riot on our first episode, who's with SIG. SIG had an SEO website design division at the time that was still young, that they were trying to develop. And we were in a position to, we had had some success and were able to get some success for our clients. And Corey had asked if I would come and teach a class, essentially teaching them, data dumping everything that I had learned so that SIG could take this formula and plug it in, and then they could start generating clients, which I think worked really good at first, and then people kind of got in the way of that. But irregardless, that was a big opportunity because, one, I needed it, but also my time was valuable. And so I was able to, at that point, I had built enough credibility in the marketing space to be able to go, all right, I can do that, but here's what it's going to take. And Corey took that to the leadership team, and they agreed to it, and that set me up. So Tim, I had reached out. Tim and I had been working out of. I ended up resigning after that opportunity came up, and then I reached out to Tim. Tim was a over-the-road truck driver, and had come off the road and was needing something to do. Yeah, big truck daddy over there.
Yep.
So many a mile.
You miss being behind the wheel.
Turning and
big
burning,
dog.
son.
It's been all
I've
over.
seen the whole country.
He doesn't actually talk like that.
I don't.
But
Just a normal guy.
pretty chill, to be honest.
I had asked him, I'm like, dude, I'm going to need help. And so Tim started coming over to my house in the mornings, and we were, I don't even really remember what those days consisted of, dude. We were still building websites ourselves.
Yeah.
Just Tim and I. And we were doing everything. There was just literally 2 of us. We had no VAs. We had nothing. And
Good times.
man, and we were working out of my kitchen table.
That's the fun grind right there.
Yeah.
It was actually a good time.
Not when you're in the middle of it. Some days you're kind of like, oh my God, this is way too much. This is way overwhelming. But then when you look back on it, it's like the grind's so
somewhere.
fun. Yeah.
Well, it's a cool story.
Yeah, it is a cool story.
I knew at the time this is going to be a cool story to tell, but when you're in it,
That's such a blessing right there.
Yeah.
Just like being able to be in that moment and have the long-term perspective of where you're at and where it's going to be.
yeah.
And so you're just kind of like, oh, this is very
You came to life.
This is really cool.
Yeah, I think we live in that here a lot.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like right now, we'll talk about this later. I feel like we've gotten a little comfortable, but we're able to see, okay, in 12 months, we know what's coming. And maybe it won't look exactly like that, but we're able to come in here and kind of live in that same space. You and I have had the opportunity to be in that space for over a year.
Yeah.
Because we started there. And so then we did the SIG thing, started working out of my kitchen. And, my wife stays at home, and I have a little, she was 2 or 3 at the time, Emerson. So she'd be coming in and, asking us for snacks or whatever. And
That was Tim asking for snacks.
yeah.
Oh, bud.
Give them fruit snacks.
But, oh, what? That turned into, we needed to go somewhere else. So my mom has a townhouse up the road.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah. So then we go to my mom's townhouse, and we were working out of the kitchen table there, and so I'm like interviewing people, trying to hire them for help on the back end, like doing Google Business Profile Management. And my mom would have us putting furniture together and stuff. Well, remember that? She had us put together a kitchen table and stuff for her. And,
you probably did it by yourself.
We had this building the whole time. And but it was like dirt floors.
Oh, it was crazy.
Like this wall behind us.
I remember.
Was like peeling paint. There was like
the floors were.
Oh, dude,
there's a reel of it on your Facebook if anybody wants to look at it.
Yeah. And maybe we'll do something else.
This shop just came a long way.
It's came a long way.
Like these HVAC drops were just trash bags with insulation hanging down. And it was a complete mess.
We had to gut the whole thing.
So we had started, so that was like in September. I had resigned. We get to December, and then we had this. Remember, I think it was like after Christmas, we're going to move to the shop. And I think early January we started working out of my office. We had two desks in my.
Just some raggedy thing too, bro.
Oh yeah, Tim had an old glass desk.
Oh my God, it was missing bolts.
If you bumped it, it was going to fall over.
It was leveled like that. It was on the side.
Bro, the desk I was using was off a junk removal job. In this building, like we never, the HVAC units and stuff were off all the time because we had no need for them. And you go through seasons and it like mold was crazy. The whole thing was covered in mold. I had to clean all the mold off. But I didn't have the money for a new desk. So I just used that one for a while. And
yuck.
We did that for a while, dude. You can still go back on like my TikTok and you can see the first TikToks I was making, and we bought these LED strips and made the SC out of the LED strips on the wall behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, we turned the lights off and made it look like it was legit, but it was not. It was far from it.
Now we got the real thing.
Bro, we hustled and we got ourselves into a position where we were able to we were able to put Tim on a salary. Not that that's relevant, but we were able to put him on a salary so that he could begin to run Sergeant Junket kind of in conjunction with doing sales. He was doing sales for Spear Crest, doing screencasts and learning how to prospect. And so that all starts to take place. And then I don't even remember I guess we just had enough clients and we were putting money back. And then Sergeant Junket had a couple good months. And we did take out a small loan, and then we were like, we got to renovate this place. We can't continue to work like in glue dust floors and moldy walls. Like we got to
brighten this place up a little bit.
Yeah.
Spoil ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, just have a decent place, to be honest. And a lot of it, Tim did a lot of the work. Like, he put all the crown molding up and all the base, and then we painted and got these walls built and.
That's right.
This is all our
but anyway,
handyman Tim, we call it.
This is all allegedly.
So we get this office built, and then now it's like, okay, now we can actually, now we can go.
The house is actually an office.
Yeah.
Actually an office.
Yeah, dude. It's really nice in here now, and we put a lot of work into it. I mean, you guys put a lot of work into keeping it up.
The process of coming to work during the construction period, though, was like...
Oh, when we were in the shop?
Yeah.
We were having calls with clients.
I remember before I got on, I used to pop by and come hang out with you guys for a little bit, and you guys had the two desks back to back.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, we were facing each other.
Yeah, there's just junk and everything around you
Makes it a little
guys.
easier to come in here and work now.
And you guys are just in there just typing away.
Oh, yeah, dude. And then
we'd be blacking out the ceiling, and so it was just...
Black paint dust
everywhere on everything, dude. I'm sure it definitely got in our lungs.
Oh, yeah.
Your brother...
That's something you just don't want to think about.
We'll miss
He
you
did
guys.
it without a mask on.
He got tired of the respirator and the goggles, so he just took them off.
Oh.
He was blowing out like black snot rockets, man. I was like,
It was
dude,
nasty,
you're
dude.
gonna die.
That's disgusting.
And we weren't even like, he'd be in here painting. I remember a couple times he'd be in here. He was spraying. Remember when we had to work? He was doing it during
while
the
we're
day.
working, yeah.
And like we're on calls, and then I'm like looking around, and like I can barely see the hallway because it's so dusty,
Ugh.
paint dust.
It was nuts.
But yeah,
Good
but
times,
that
good
was all
times,
part of
good
the
times.
journey, man. And so we get to that point, and then. We had gotten the office done, and we started to come in here and pray every morning, just me and Tim.
Yeah.
And we started praying like, God, if it's your will, bring people into this business that are going to help us kind of get to the next level. What we had already we had hired some VAs, actually, I think before we had moved in officially. So we had some people working behind the scenes to help us. But we needed physical people in the building to help us do this. One of the things that I wanted to do through this business was hire people locally and help them. And I just like the fact of hiring local. We're a local business, and even though like none of our clients are here except for 2, but we were able to do that through, we already made that connection with SIG. Well, let me back up, because we had hired another guy in Florida remotely to do the job that you're doing now. And
Right.
super, super good dude. Really enjoyed him. He was a great guy, but we'd kind of gotten in a slump. We had gotten comfortable. And we hit a sales slump, and things slowed down. We were coming into winter, and so we had to part ways. And then right around that time, you and I had gone golfing. And I think you had mentioned it, or you had mentioned it a couple times, like,
Yeah.
hey, bro, I can come help you do this. And it doesn't necessarily need to be the client success role, but, I can help you do this. And I'm like, well, we're not ready, blah, blah, blah. But we've been praying the whole time about, like, bring people into this business that are going to help us get to the next level. We don't, I don't want to go recruit people on Indeed,
Right.
or, ZipRecruiter.
Do a million interviews and stuff.
I just didn't have that energy, man. And I know that there's risk in hiring people that I've done that before, and it made relationships very difficult. And, that was both parties' faults. And I was hesitant about that. Even before I brought Tim on, we had some pretty serious conversations like, hey, bro, when we were working, it's work. It's business. It's nothing personal. And we had that mutual understanding. But I knew that, like, by hiring you, I'm friends with your brother. I've known you for a long time. So even though we didn't grow up together,
Yeah, we always knew each other, but we never really had a relationship.
Yeah.
We didn't I mean, we might have.
We saw each other at
Before
parties.
we started working together, we probably have had like 10 conversations.
right. But still, it could make parties awkward.
Right.
And so I was hesitant, but then I'm like, you know what, man? We've been praying for this, and it's right in front of us. And the opportunity was ripe for you, and it was really, so after we had gotten through kind of the slow season, we had done Lone Star Dumpster Showcase. We had brought you on, like, really, dude, we brought you on. And
Technically, my first day was our first day in Dallas.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
it was
started like November
It
11th.
was my 1 year anniversary too. It was 11/11. It was technically our first day. It was
Yeah.
our first day at the.
It was his
Lone
first
Star.
day. And bro, we hired you, and we were like, I was honest, that was a move. Like, I'm like, if you want him to be here, we're going to need this trip to work out.
Yeah.
Because, like, we didn't have the money to hire you for real.
Yeah.
And, or maybe we did, but it wasn't going to be like a long-term
Yeah.
thing. And then, we all know the after effects of the Lone Star Dumpster Showcase was a really big
It was
event
rock
for
and
us.
rolling.
Yeah.
We got super busy. I'm super grateful for Josh inviting us down to that. And we're going to be going back again this year. I can't speak to that too much because it hasn't been announced. But, my hope is that we can get back down there and really help some people. A lot of the people that we helped down there we're still working with.
Such a fun trip.
Yeah.
It really was a fun trip. So anyway, God blesses that, and we're still here.
Yeah, there
and
we go.
Tax season is upon us now, and that's going to be fun. We're in the throes of business.
Yep.
We're still growing, man. We're still young, and sometimes I think I can unintentionally put off the perception that we're bigger than we are, and I do that on purpose sometimes. Not necessarily from a client base, but I like to keep people guessing. I think we are bigger than we give ourselves credit for. But I think one thing we understand is we can't let our foot off the gas, and we have to grow individually. And I'm glad that we have people, you guys in here, that are okay with what it's going to take to grow individually, because that's going to translate into where
Well, I think
we're
us
going.
four as a team do a really good job of challenging each other and holding each other accountable too.
Yeah.
We all have the overall same vision, but we all have different paths of getting there too.
And we're all different people.
We all are very different people, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we all work very well together, and we don't clash, but we hold each other accountable. We make sure we're doing what we need to get done, and we're leveling up at each.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that we all, especially, we've talked about this a lot. In 2025, our goal is to really up our game for client experience. I mean, I think one thing we do well is we get results. Now, there are some clients we don't get results for. And I'm not trying to pass blame, but in a lot of cases, the clients aren't willing to put in the work. In some cases, we misjudge a market or whatever, so it's not all on the client. But we have a proven track record of getting results.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that that's where we need, we're good there, but what we really need to up our game on is the client success side and the client relationship side. Not up our game necessarily on the client success side, but making sure that our clients have an experience unlike any other. And knowing that we're all pulling on the same side of that rope is really encouraging.
For sure. I think client experience is going to be the number one goal of Spear Crest.
Yeah.
That's our biggest value. And I think SEO as a whole isn't really understood by a lot of people either. And a lot of people probably don't even believe in it. Yeah. Or they think it doesn't make sense, or it's just not right for them. And it's not the cheapest service. It's not this and that. But when you see how you're treated from a marketing company, I feel like so many people get burned by marketing companies.
Yeah. Well, some people have told us that we've burned them.
Yeah.
I hear it on cold calls all the time.
Oh, yeah.
People don't believe it.
Oh, you guys are just, it's a scam. It's this and that. And it's like, well, it's not fair to us as much as it is to them, because we didn't do that, and we offer a whole different experience for each client.
Yeah.
But it's such an interesting thing, because half the time SEO isn't real to people. They just don't believe in it.
Yeah. And except for the people that have gotten results.
Exactly.
And then they're your biggest sounding boards, because they're like, nah, dude, this works for real.
But I think one thing we always want to hammer is we don't come in and save companies in night one.
We don't come save companies at all.
Yeah. And I think that's what people think marketing companies are supposed to do, is you're supposed to come in, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars, and you're going to make me $1 million a month.
They expect those immediate results.
Well, we would charge a lot more if we could do that. I'll tell you that much right now. But that's like our goal is, we might be your marketing company. We work with SMBs, so smaller businesses, where we are their marketing team, which is fine, but you still have to do marketing yourself. Boots on the ground, guerrilla marketing, all this stuff. Like it's not just all of us. Mm-hmm. We can't be your full marketing tactic team, especially if we're 200 miles away.
Well, we focus on the digital side, man.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times it does get missed, and a lot of it, let's just be honest, a lot of it is in how we communicate. Now we can communicate well, and that can still get lost in the sauce because someone is excited to work with us and they're really hopeful to get results. And so maybe we'll tell them and they won't hear it, but maybe it's because we're not communicating well, or maybe it's because we're not building the relationship well. And so we have to take ownership of all facets. And I think that, we do a pretty good job of client success, sharing data and meeting with our clients, but I'm trying to do things super unique as a company, and I don't want to give too much away. We talked about this earlier, where you start to share things that are in your plans before they come to bear, and you're opening the door for attacks that you didn't see coming. And so I don't want to do that, but we're gonna radically change the game, I think, in terms of how we take care of our clients. I think we're just and look, there's some awesome agencies out there. I'm really good friends with a lot of agency owners that have been huge blessings to us, and so this isn't a knock on them. This is just how we're going to do things, and what I think a lot of agencies miss. To your point, people get burned. Mm-hmm. Or their perception is that they got burned. Maybe they actually didn't get burned and they were getting results, but the communication sucked so bad that they didn't really know where the results were coming from. I mean, we experienced that very recently, where we have a client, we're getting him results, we can show him that we're getting leads, and he's like, I'm not getting any leads. And it's like, yeah, no, you are. And I think that maybe it's just that not that we didn't try to build that relationship, but we could be doing more. Yeah. Right. I had a call with a guy yesterday, and he's trying to kind of do the same thing we're doing. He's a dumpster rental business owner. And he's like, man, I'm trying to figure out how to uniquely build relationships. And he's like, and it's so simple. He went to a BNI meeting or something. And this realtor, I don't know the exact details of the story, but he got a handwritten letter from this realtor. And he was like, nobody freaking does this anymore, dude. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and it made me think to myself, I'll never use anybody else. Off a handwritten letter. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, what can we be doing? Those fine-tuned details.
It's the small stuff
that just that are so simple, but they're
personal stuff
at scale. At scale, they're tough. But we could be doing so. Again, not to get too into the weeds about that, but I wanted to tell the story and kind of what our goals are now. We're bringing in new services. I'm not going to give that away, but Ryan has been. He's been to a boot camp, we'll say. Yep. And he has been. We've been grinding in here. And the nice thing is we've got Sergeant Junket and Tim to kind of
be our guinea pig. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. The test subject.
Yeah, he's
down. I think it's going well.
I think so too. Yeah, it really is. And that's so back to the part about the necessity of the customer doing work. It's like with what we got going on now. Plus our digital presence from what we've been building with the SEO, plus the organic stuff like the letters and the door hangers and signs and
It all
posting
goes
on
together.
The extra
Facebook.
mile.
When
the
you're doing all that,
network groups, yeah.
it's just more eyeballs.
You see your
know?
business take a crazy growth when you're doing all the things right.
Yeah, you have people will see you in all these different places, and then when they're ready to make a decision, it's like, oh yeah,
These
it's
are the
those
guys. I've seen these guys.
Yeah.
At the very least, they're going to go, I need to reach out to these guys when the need arises.
Yeah.
Junk removal specifically is interesting because it's such it's a commodity item. You know, it's I don't know how to describe it. People need it, but they don't necessarily know that they need it.
Until they
Yeah.
need it.
Right,
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
think they can take care of it themselves. And look, people can rent dumpsters too and load it themselves. That's fine. Junk removal though is kind of takes the dumpster out of the equation and you get the labor involved. But to your point, Tim, when that need arises, even if they don't necessarily know that they need the service, they're going to be curious. And if they've seen you everywhere, you're going to be the guy they reach out to.
Exactly.
And when we see clients having problems, we'll ask them the question, what have you guys been doing on the ground? Well, nothing. That's why I hired you guys. I hired you guys to take care of everything. And it's like, okay, well, you're going to have a real bad day. And now, I'm not trying to blame the client there because it could be that we miscommunicated that. And so one thing that, I've really tried to hammer home as we're bringing in new clients is we're going to take what you're already doing well and get it in front of more eyeballs. But if you're not putting in the work on the ground or you're not willing to, it's not going to work out.
It's gonna be tough.
And so, we've set our standards too now with like, we're not going to bring clients in that aren't doing certain revenue numbers. And we don't do that because we don't want to work with people. Because I got people that are like, nah, dude, like I still want to work with you. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to be a huge expense to you and you're going to hate my guts in 3 or 4 months when you're still growing. And whereas if I've got a guy who's proven it to himself that he can make money without me, that's the guy I want to work with.
That's the right partnership.
Where he's looking at Spear Crest, he's looking at us, and he's going, I want you to take what I'm already doing well and get it in front of more people. That's
Something
where the
to be
magic
developed.
happens. Correct. Yeah, it's not something that we just flip a light switch and you're number one on Google. It doesn't happen that way, man. I wish it did.
only. Yeah.
I wish it did. Anyway, we're kind of going off on a rabbit hole, but no, but the point is, I wanted to share that story because it's a story really of God's goodness and His faithfulness and Him working things out for our good. Like you get to a point where you're not sure what to do. Am I going to have to go back to work full time? And then boom, door opens. Boom, door opens. Boom, door opens.
It's crazy how all 4 doors opened for us all at the right time.
The timing
it
is
wasn't
everything.
like this wasn't like a pre-planned thing for 6 to 8 months or eventually.
And it wasn't like I was like, hey, hold on, brother.
Yeah.
Well, in 6 months. I mean,
No.
there was maybe a month of that where you're like, hey, if you need me, and I'm like, hey, I don't, give me a minute. But there wasn't a long period of time where we had like.
It just all kind of just happened at once.
It did, and it happened outside of our own ability.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Like, I lost a job
For sure.
and then was in here the next day. Wasn't even supposed to be working.
Get a job. You were just here to say,
And then
what's up.
next thing I knew, I had this amazing opportunity in front of me.
Yeah.
And really, like, and you're the newest one here, and it's just getting like we're just getting started. I think back, I feel like Dakota's been here for like a year, but he's only been here since November.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
It's March right now.
Yeah.
Now we're rolling out a podcast. We wouldn't be rolling out a podcast if we didn't have all 4 people in here. We wouldn't have the ability to.
Yeah, I agree.
And if we weren't going after the things in the way that we're going after them too, like with the journaling and the Bible studies and the
Oh, we're
book,
working on ourselves
you know.
daily.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Individually,
Yeah.
and then bringing it together individually and bouncing it off of each other and having that accountability and stuff.
Powerful.
It's like,
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's a game
Yeah.
changer.
It really is fun.
It's important to me as an owner too, because I think owners get caught up in this. You can get caught on an ego trip real easy, and so I think inviting people into your business, even people that work for you, right? I think here it's a little bit different, but people that work for you and giving them freedom to like hold you accountable is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And you guys do a good job of that, and you don't let my ego get big. Thankfully, you're able to like joke on me and.
Balance you out.
I dude, when I get around, I've gotten around leaders before and worked for leaders that like,
You feel like you're walking on eggshells.
yeah,
Couldn't take
or
a
like,
joke.
Same,
or
but-
like I could joke on them, but then someone else couldn't, and it was weird and unprofessional.
You're also receptive of it too, though. A lot of people aren't like that.
But I want that to be our culture, and just so that you guys know, listeners, I know we're kind of talking internally a lot, which is fine, but we have every morning. We have a book that we're reading right now. Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David, which has turned out to be an incredible book.
It's good.
Yeah.
Right?
I've had it for a while, and started reading it when I went on vacation, and like got 50 pages in, and I was like, all right, I got to stop. I got to get the guys in on this because it was so good.
Oh, yeah.
So we read that, and then on Fridays we dissect what what we had read. So the goal was it 50 pages a week or so, 10 pages a day?
10 pages a day, yeah.
Roughly, and then we dissect that on Fridays, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we have our Bible study. So this morning we recorded our first episode, which was brought our listeners into that. So if you're listening to this episode and you missed the second episode we've ever recorded, go back and listen to that. We do that every morning, and I think that was a really good representation of what it's actually like. That wasn't podcast polished.
It was almost like there was no camera, there was no mics.
It was real, man, and that's the way it is in here. And so anyway, we do these things, and then we're doing another thing called the Successful Man. Is it the Successful Man Journal?
Successful Man, yeah.
So this was like on an Instagram ad, and I'm always weird about Instagram ads. But look, man,
Instagram
the ads
ad,
they create for those are...
I buy a lot of stuff off Instagram.
Ads begin.
You get them extra smalls in when you
I'm
get
the
close.
one. I'm the target audience.
I'm their guy.
We got him.
Yeah. Well, we need to get some targeting going on like that in terms of our clients.
For real.
But the Successful Man ad, like the ads that they make don't seem like ads, like they're motivational reels. And then you watch it, and then you realize, like you can see at the bottom, it's an
A little
ad.
shop now button just pops up.
And then you're like,
subtly.
They got me. And you're kind of like, ooh, that's kind of dope. But I had seen this happen like probably 30, 40 times. And I'm like, all right, dude, I got to check this ad. I got to check this out because they keep hooking me on the videos because they're all different videos.
Right.
And so I go and check it out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try this. And so I ordered one, opened it up, and I was like, this is what we need. We can do this as a team.
It's helped us set goals.
I mean, so we were already...
And specify the goals.
That's
too,
it.
which
Exactly.
For me it was, is, and continues to be
A game
absolutely
changer.
necessary and a game changer.
Yeah. And then to come in, so the twist we put on it is that you have to come in and speak out loud what you're writing down. And then we can all pour into each other. Okay. I'm going to just use an example. I'm not going to call one of you guys out, but it's like, I'm going to drink more water every day. And it's like, okay.
That was me.
All right.
I called myself.
Great.
I did.
I think we could all drink more water.
But it's like, okay, you're going to drink more water. That's great. How much water are you going to drink?
I don't know, like
Getting
two
specific.
water bottles.
8.79.
It wasn't me.
Who was it? It doesn't matter. The point is we allow everyone to pour into each other and hold each other accountable. And so through this, by the way, if you should check that out, the Successful Man Journal. That thing is pretty sweet. That goes through kind of this progression. So you'll set your goals, then you'll do you'll write down what you're grateful for every day, kind of teaches you how to build out a plan, how to set your morning routine. I think we're going to be getting into affirmations tomorrow is what we're going to be talking about. So, and then eventually you get to this place where you're journaling every day. So you're kind of recording your day. Did you win the day, essentially? And then you'll do that for 90 days. We each have 90-day goals inside of the business and for each other. Not for each other, but individually that we're holding each other accountable to. And so maybe this is something that you can use in your business. I mean, it's worked out completely fine here. You're going to have to be willing to have a little bit of tough skin and put your ego aside.
Got to be vulnerable. Got
That's
to
what
be
I was
transparent.
just thinking, man. I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention the importance and the value of having extremely difficult conversations on purpose. Like, go out of your way to have that conversation with your team, with your leadership, with your coworkers and your peers, like having those tough conversations where it almost feels like you're being called out. Well, you are. You're being called out of.
But it's not a malicious call out. Like it's not.
You're being called out of
Your crap.
less
Your
and called
comfortness.
up to more by your peers.
I mean,
Well, I
when you're-
think. Go ahead.
When you're doing those hard things and you're having those hard conversations, like that's where true growth comes from.
I also think I do each one of you a disservice if I'm not holding you to your true potential.
Yeah.
So-
what kind of relationship?
So if
is
I
that?
just let you,
What kind of friend are you?
if I
actually?
just let you
Yeah.
coast through life and not hold you accountable for your true potential, I'm failing you as a friend. Like that's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
I need to be able to call you out on your BS. You said you're going to do something and you're not doing it, so now you're not honoring your word. Like, what are we doing here? If you say you're going to do something, do it, and be who you are.
And you ever heard the thing like, if you really want to learn something, teach it? You ever heard that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that holds true. So if you want to hold someone else accountable, it teaches you to hold yourself accountable.
That's the same thing as
because if I try to hold, I try to hold, like if I try to say, hey bro, why ain't you doing your workouts? Why ain't you doing this and that? If I'm not doing that, then I start to feel real guilty.
Yeah.
Or then I start to think, well, I can't even say that to him because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Holds no value.
But the opposite is true. If I'm keeping up and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, it's a lot easier for me to come at someone and say, hey bro, why didn't you do your workout today, bro?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do this, and this?
Yeah.
And not do it in a malicious way.
Right.
Because I'm taking care of my crap and we're all trying to grow this thing together and we all have to be individually strong. And the reason that I'm holding you to this standard is because one, I'm holding myself to that standard, and two, if you meet this standard, not only are you going to grow, but the whole team is going to thrive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the dead leaf. One dead leaf will kill a plant if you don't prune it, trim it back, right? So it's kind of like that, and I think we do a really good job because it's not just me, calling each individual out. It's all of us kind of pouring into that.
I think a good example of that too is, just for example, for you, Tim, we kind of talked about, why aren't you doing the things that you said you were going to do? And then at first you would have some kind of excuse. Now you don't have excuses. You just take accountability. Yeah. And I think that's the start of growth for you in that aspect. At first you'd be like, well, I didn't want to. I was too busy. I didn't feel good, X, Y, and Z. Instead, you're just like, you know what? You're right. That's one thing that we all four do really well, though, is we're receptive and we take accountability.
And it can be subtle.
It's not the easiest thing to do either. No one wants to get called out for the things that they're not doing when they said they were going to do it. I'm guilty. Everybody's guilty of it. Yeah. But instead of if you say, hey, why didn't you work out today? You said you were going to. Why didn't you? And I'm like, well, this, that. I'm deflecting instead of just accepting.
Well, also your word is losing all credibility.
It is.
Yeah.
And the other day, it doesn't have to be, I don't think in all instances it needs to be some kind of firm call out. I was sitting in my office and it was 3:30 in the afternoon, so the day was getting close to being over. And Tim walked by and he was like, hey bro, you going to work out today or what? And just in that moment, I was
fired you up.
All right, he's right. He was gently saying, you need to work out.
What are you doing?
Right. And so,
but it was on my way to the gym.
Right. And so then it's like,
why it was easy for you.
Yeah. It's like, come on, bro, get up and do that. And so I think having that ability to hold each other accountable has been huge for that.
It's healthy.
It's been huge for us.
It's healthy.
And I think that a lot of business owners unintentionally avoid those things. I think holding people accountable.
I don't think they care.
I don't know, man. I think they care. I just think they don't know how to navigate it.
I don't. I guess smaller business owners do.
Smaller business owners are in a unique position to be able to do those kind of things. It's a little different for service-based businesses.
We've both worked corporate, so you see like the corporate ladder in the corporate setting. They don't care about employees.
Well, no, you're more of a cog in the wheel.
Yeah, you're definitely that. But you're good. Which is interesting though, because I just don't know the rat race of the corp is so crazy to me, and how idolized it is, and how invaluable I felt in that setting. I met some really good leaders in the corporate world, and I think so. Like the company that I was working for, the big distribution company, they had a full-blown gym in there. Like they were very, they were encouraging people to use the gym, and so there was encouragement there. But it wasn't, the culture wasn't, you need to be at your best. It was, you need to be producing at 100%, and if you're at 89%, then we're gonna have a meeting with you, and we're gonna, you're gonna go down the chart of, warnings and blah, 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 blah. And it was more about the production of what you can output, not necessarily building you up internally so that those things happen naturally. Right.
And I think one of the benefits that we have of not being that big right now is that we get to set the tone and set the culture.
Build the culture.
Yeah, we get to mold it and form it into what we want to do, because eventually we want to get big. I want to get us to a place where we need more people in this office to handle our clients and really take care of our clients.
Where we have our own teams under us.
Yeah, I don't want to get so big that our clients feel lost, like some of these other marketing.
But we want everybody that we bring in. Well, see, this is we're foreshadowing stuff too. We don't talk about, but we want everybody that we bring in to feel the culture that we feel with us four.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're going to do that by setting the tone now and holding ourselves accountable and making sure that we meet the standards that we're setting out, and we're going to build this culture into something great. And I think that the people that are going to benefit the most are going to be our clients. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the self-accountability and things that we're doing internally right now is going to benefit our clients. And I'm really excited about that. I think 2025, I already know it's going to be busy, especially with the things we're going to roll out that we're not going to talk about right now as far as service offerings go. But I think that what's really going to move the needle is people are going to have a real hard time keeping up with us because you got 4 people that are just performing at 100% every day, day in and day out. That's hard to keep up with. It's hard to keep up with one guy that does that. Yeah. You get 4 people doing that. Real tough.
You can really build something to be proud of.
And that's not calling anybody out or saying you're not going to be able to keep up with us, but we have big goals and big aspirations, and we want to take care of people in a real way. And I think we are setting ourselves up for success in that. So that's kind of it, man. I think we did a pretty good job of starting at the beginning and bringing it together. At the end of the day, I want to make sure we give credit where credit is due. I think, if it weren't for God and Him opening doors and bringing people into this, who knows what it would look like. And I'm grateful that He's given us the clarity of mind to lean on Him and the reminder that we're just stewards that He's given us. And my hope is that we never lose that. Yeah. And I think that He's going to continue to bless it, and I hope that He blesses our clients mightily through us as well. So
comes back to the foundation that we're building.
Yeah, it does
every morning.
It does. Guys, that's all we've got today. If you have any questions, want to know more about Spear Crest Digital, or want to know more about each or any individual person, Tim is a junk removal guy. If you're a junk removal business owner that happens to be listening to this, you could probably get some value out of that. Email your questions to questions@bydesignshow.com. Questions@bydesignshow.com. I said the By Design Show on the last episode, so
and that was incorrect.
It was. Right? They will be bouncing because that doesn't exist.
Maybe we can edit that.
Yeah.
Or we can just add the mailbox.
Or if they came back for the second episode, they'll know.
Yeah. That's why I did this time.
Like they should have.
And if they didn't, emails got bounced. I don't even feel bad for you.
Yeah. Who needs you?
Good point.
Who needs you?
Guys, thanks so much. We appreciate you. Share this episode. Rate us. Give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed this content. We appreciate you guys. Content. I said continent, I think. Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate you.
Have a good day.
See ya.